unusual lines, as well as the King's Indian attack. It's pretty much just to finish off our series on the French defence. Okay, so we're going to start the King's Indian attack, which is e4, e6, d3, after d5, knight d2. Okay, so there's a nice way for black to play against this, which white doesn't tend to know as well. Where he's going knight f6. Because white tends to be prepared for the moves where he goes c5 and b5 and just trying to blow him off the board. Okay, so after knight to g3, knight f3, knight to c6, g3, and now we can take and play e5. Okay, now already white. I was thinking of playing this line as white, and I did play a couple of games on ICC with this, but found that I just ended up getting quite annoying positions here when black played this against me, because after e5, you sort of want to put your bishop out this way, like on b5, but then you've already played g3, and so if you put your bishop out on b5, then bishop h3 could be very annoying. So this is, yes, say bishop b5, bishop h3. So you have to probably go bishop g2, and now b6. Well, I should see bishop c5 first, now castle, now b6. Okay, so the idea for black is to play bishop a6, attacking the rook, and after the rook moves to e1, we go knight g4, which would just win, as white won't be able to defend the f2 pawn. Okay, so c3 is often played. The idea of playing b4. So yeah, you play a5 first. Now we've got the idea of playing bishop a6. And okay, so after queen c2, bishop a6. I've actually had a game like this where I just won, immediately after bishop a6. White has to play c4 now. And already black's got a really nice position. Knight's going to come to b4, probably queen e7 first, stick a rook on d file. You got good control. My opponent played a rook to d1, and after knight g4, white's just lost straight away. Since rook can come back, moves take, and now we're going to take on f2 following the move. So it's no good. h3 tends to be often played. Bishop a6, rook e1, and now I can play queen e7. Okay, so this is interesting. We might even be threatening bishop takes f2 check, king takes, and then queen c5 check, where the rook's going to be forced to come to e3. As long as we have a move very quickly, I don't think it's going to be working, especially when white tends to play like moves like queen c2 now. White begins castle, knight may come to h4. Let's get on with it. Let's play rook to d8. Knight may come to f5. Let's play queen e6. And black gets a very good position in these sort of lines. You can threaten to play g6. Next move, kick the knight. Even if he comes to h6, play king g7. The knight's sort of on a useless square. Okay, so this bishop's also very powerful on a6. Bishop d3 might be an option. I would be careful about playing rook to d3, since there'll be bishop f1 tricks. Okay, so knight may come to b3, trying to trade off this bishop. But now bishop to d3 looks quite dangerous, since now the queen moves. Bishop takes e4 is an option. So yeah, in these lines, it's very hard for white to play. Okay, so queen b3, then queen takes, knight takes maybe, g6 possibility, or you could leave the queen on. The queen's on. Move queen back to d7. It depends on sort of your style. If you prefer pieces off and go to an end game, or unless you want to try to keep as many pieces on as possible. So yeah, what I would say is this is a very simple line for black to learn, where you just get to position all the time. You'll get these sort of positions all the time where you do the same thing, and you can get very good results with it. Okay, so Another line is queen e2 straight away. And the idea is now after d5, white's just going to take, and you can't recapture with your e pawn since it is a pin. But against this, you just play c5, and now it sort of transposes into a time north sort of Sicilian, but where white's played queen e2, and so black tries to prove that his queen e2 move looks a bit stupid. So now g3 has to be played, knight c6, bishop g2. But you could play this of normal sort of Sicilian ideas, maybe g6, castle, bishop g7, c3. You sort of might get this sort of position. Where black's just doing fine, you could play b5 and expand on the queen side. Yeah, it's queen e2 move's not so good for white. Sort of just a waste of a move. Okay, so other options white might try is knight to f3. Now to d5, knight to c3. You just play knight to f6, pawn e5, right back to d7, d4, c5, and now they take. Now you play knight c6, attacking the e pawn, bishop f4, bishop takes c5, bishop d3, but now you play f6. This f6 move straight away is a critical line for black. It sort of just means that white doesn't get a nice position. If you castle and just play normal moves, then you, in fact, I think black's just losing straight away after check, and now knight to g5 check. Since king g8 is queen h5, and there's no defense to mate on h7. Okay, so you might be able to play king to g6, but then surely queen d3 check looks pretty dangerous. Or from queen g4, for queen d3 check. Just going to fall. Okay, the king here is queen h7 checkmate, and if after f5 en passant check, king takes. It's going to be knight checks and bishop checks. And, okay, I think black's just getting destroyed in this position. You might even be able to just play knight takes e6 here. This might be better. Now play queen g3 check. Yeah, so anyway, this position is not good for black. So you've got to watch out for these Greek myth traps of bishop takes h7. So f6 is good. It makes white concede his centre. Okay, so now knight takes f6, and okay, so castle, now you can castle. And black's got perfectly good position already. He's got the two central pawns. He's going to try and play for e5 move later on. So white's probably going to try to stop him for rook e1. He's playing normal developing moves with bishop d7, bishop e8, bishop h5 possibly, or queen b6. As long as you don't run into any knight a4 moves, or you could even try knight to g4 here. So there's a couple of options available. Okay, so another way white might play is e5 here, and after c5, b4, which is the wing gambit. And to be honest, I won't go into the wing gambit. If they're going to play this against each other, they're going to know it well. What I do is just play b6, just ignore it. Okay, if they take, you can just take back, and you can get a good position. Or you probably find that they play like moves like c3, just trying to. They want you to take on b4, but still just keep playing normal moves. Just queen d7, maybe after d4, just play bishop to a6 and swap off the bishops. Yeah, black's doing fine here too. You think white's position's a bit all over the place. a3 might be played, but now I'll probably just put my knight on e7, castle, maybe knight f5, or knight g6 actually. And yeah, black's got a fine position. You can even block it up with c4 if you want to. So say if knight b2, maybe play c4, and then it's castle, queen side, where your king's going to be very safe. You can start your own kingside attack. Okay, so another alternative is to play with b3. So this is another. Okay, we play d5, bishop b2, knight f6, and they'll play e5. So what I reckon we should take, knight c3, knight f6, queen e2, and you just play normal moves really against this sort of thing. Castle, just bishop d6. Well, I should probably bishop e7 first, just to make sure. After knight takes, now this knight's got a bit more support. And you might think about starting your own attack, but maybe putting your knight on d4. We're just castling here, knight f3, maybe knight d5 now. I think black's also fine here, as long as you don't allow white to build up such a big attack. I get on the attack of a5, and these sort of attacks by white tend to work best at bishop on d3, except bishop's not going to be able to get to d3 very easily, since the queen's got really no good squares to go to. And once bishop does come to d3, we can play knight b5 and swap it off. So black's doing well here against this variation. And what they want you to do is knight f6, and then they can play e5, and they can get to a position where this bishop tends to be very annoying on b2. Okay, so last one we're going to look at is f4, d5. This is similar to wing gambit, but now once again just play b6 and play queen d7, bishop a6, and just leads to the same position. As f4 moves tend to be pretty bad. Okay, so I don't think there's any other moves that I need to go over. That white can play. c4 isn't any good. You can play d5, and after takes. You get a better version of the Clarke c4 line. You can put knight f6 here, knight c3, and just take on. You capture your pawn on d5. I had a game like this actually, where my opponent played bishop c4. I played like he played d4. My opponent actually played bishop b5 check first, which is confusing. Well, it confuses why he played this. Guy's played c6. I guess he didn't want white knight to come to c6. And now to bishop c4. I went knight b6, bishop b3. I went c5, and just want to play c4 and cram black's position. He played queen f3. I went c4, queen check, bishop b6, bishop c2, knight c6, and then after my opponent now played d3, knight b4, knight d4 was played, takes f5, queen d3, bishop takes c4, queen e3, king f7, queen g5, bishop to d1 first, starts attacking his knight, bishop c5, threatening like knight c2 checks, winning the queen, queen g5, rook e8 check, and black just losing this. White's just losing this. Sorry. Takes, and now just take, and take, and then knight just c2 check. So there's the rook. Just take on g5. Just take the rook. Just hold rook up. Because that's a game that I had against this line quite recently actually. Someone tried to play this against me. It didn't actually arise from that move order. He played c4 first, and after e6 he went e4, and I sort of tricked him, went d5, and just transposed into that line, which isn't very good for white. Okay, so that's all we need to cover on these French sidelines. Okay, so in this repertoire, there's a lot of very good, unusual sort of lines, which would be very useful for beating strong opponents who won't know these lines particularly very well, since they'll study all the main lines. So you can catch all your opponents off guard. So yeah, hope you do well.